If we live in a world where we're constantly evaluating other people's opinions more than ourselves, we also know that we're living in a world for them, not for us. And again, that's self-rejection. And we're always going to find when we're self-rejecting that we're not going to be happy. We're not going to be able to live a life full of joy when we're constantly rejecting ourselves.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. It's your host, Lara Jane, and I am here with my new best friend, Danita. And we have been talking about those things that bring us down, those things that kind of hold us back when we start giving up ourselves and giving up all these things we want to do because there's so many other have-to-dos. And now what do we do with these have-to-dos? Really, we're choosing to do them. They've just gotten into that priority that's overtaking everything. And how do we get that balance back in our lives where we have real life situations and we stop rejecting ourselves? How do we start saying yes to ourselves and finding where we can do balanced life, taking care of all the things we have to do and us? So before we jump into this, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. I'll come back. We're going to start with, how in the world do I stop telling myself no? We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Danita, please help me figure out how to accept myself. Instead of rejecting all my own ideas and all the things that I need to do for me, how do I start doing that again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love going right into it. Accepting ourselves, in my opinion, in my experience and coaching many clients for the last several years, and I'm going through my own journey of this, what I found is that self-acceptance is not an external thing as much as it's an internal thing. And so the first step, what I would do is really look at our belief systems and where we've adopted those belief systems. We usually have them come from parents, our society, teachers, peers, religion, what have you. And so one technique I do is I like to track and measure where I'm currently at through a couple series of metrics. And the first one would be just writing down beliefs such as I'm worthy, I'm good enough, I'm deserving, I'm smart, I'm confident, I'm in line with my purpose, I feel free, I feel unstoppable, these type of belief systems, and then rate them on a 1 to 10 scale. And if any of them are below 10s, then you've adopted what's called a limiting belief. And with these limiting beliefs, you are going to find that they are going to be the source of what is our self-rejection. So as people pleasers, nurturers, caregivers, as women, we are constantly looking to try to find satisfaction outside of us. And so what we want to do is really pay attention to those limiting beliefs. Those are the things that keep us in patterns. And by the definition of insanity, if we keep repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, we know that eventually we're going to start feeling crazy. And so what I like to do is I like to chip away at those limiting beliefs and bring them all to 10. And what's really great and easy about this process is that if one of them, such as I'm not good enough, if you're able to bring that one to truth, you'll notice that I'm important, I matter will also go up with it. And so sometimes we might have just a couple layers that we have underneath that we can dissolve and bring to truth. And then now we're in a place of our truth, which is I am enough, I am worthy, and I am deserving. And that's the foundation to what you're saying as far as self-acceptance. It's not about doing your nails. It's not about going and getting your hair done. Those are great topical things. But to really get to the root of the source of it is going through what our mind is. Our mind affects our emotions. Our emotions affect our actions. and our actions affect our outcome. That's called the neurological pathway loop. And so when we're able to get into more of the laws of how our laws of physics and also neuroscience, you start to really understand how to take control rather than just start doing all these little surface fixes that aren't really helping much. So does that answer your question?
Oh man, I should be able to do it, but it answers it in words. And now how do I feel it? How do I make it change where it just was really that impact, you know? Maybe I really do need to keep helping everybody else because I don't want the reputation of being not nice. Or what is, when I can dial it down to what's the underlining fear, what is that belief that I believe that's smaller window than that big one they're all limiting beliefs, but am I good enough? That's a pretty big window. Maybe I'm good enough in some areas and not others. And how do I dial down? And if I rate them all and they're all sevens and maybe a few fours and fives, do I pick out the sevens, the easy wins first, or I go for the hard ones where I'm really far off? Where do I start?
I would initially start with your lowest ones, or usually what I ask is what is your subconscious? Because your subconscious is running 95% of us. And so oftentimes I'll just ask a client like, hey, today do we want to go towards the I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough? And then usually the first one that pops in your mind is the right answer for you today to go through that. And so the answer to your question, I mean, you kind of had a couple in there, but how do I feel it? The answer to that is I want you to imagine all your questions here. So you went feel it, reputation, fear. So the first one is if you imagine a box, and in the human experience, what we're doing is we are just bouncing from one side to the other side to the other side. Call it this or that. And what happens is we find ourselves getting really stuck. That we're trying this thing called, self-care and loving ourselves. But while we're doing that, we feel guilt and shame. So then what do we do on the other side is then we don't care for ourselves and we try to find happiness by serving others. But on that side, that self-rejection also causes pain. And so what we find is that we're not getting the answer of the feeling emotionally on either side. Basically what it is trying to chase a feeling like a carrot on a stick. Because an emotion is not something that lives outside of us. And that's where most of the human experience gets really messed up with, is they say, I will be happy when I accomplish this thing. And so from hearing about when my teens are grown up or when my job is providing this much money or when my parents are now finally healthy or whatever those elements of those things are, the reality is the shift happens when you open the box and you realize it's a different perspective. It's allowing that emotion to come internal to you first instead of chasing the carrot on the stick. But oftentimes the next step with that is people say, well, I feel it for a short amount of time. I can feel happiness or peace or joy for a short amount of time, but then it's fleeting with the next thing of a responsibility. And so the solution to that is when you understand that our brain and our bodies are chemically hardwired to stay in a place of survival. So if you look back on your life, think about the thing that's been most, call it your emotional home, something that feels most predictable, the most safe inside of your body. I can speak for myself. It was stress. I was addicted to adrenaline because when I got more stuff done, I felt like I was enough. So it was constantly chasing this thing of enough. And so what I was able to do is tell my brain and body, I am safe to feel I am enough. I am giving myself permission right now to let go of my limiting beliefs and step into my truth of I am enough. And when you start at that core level, what you'll notice, that different perspective takes away the this and the that. And so you mentioned time. That's where we get so blogged in on our time and our energy, is because we're chasing the carrot on the stick. And we'll never, ever find it on the carrot on the stick until we fully allow ourselves to accept it and make it safe within our body to feel these beautiful, wonderful emotions. So that would be the first part. But I want to see if there's anything that comes up before I go into the other ones that you have.
Yes, but let's go ahead and move on because I think, let's go ahead and answer the other one.
So the other ones that you mentioned in your question was about the reputation. And so there can be a lot of fears of what people think or say or do. And, and all the different, opinions of everyone else. But if we live in a world where we're constantly evaluating other people's opinions more than ourselves, we also know that we're living in a world for them, not for us. And again, that's self-rejection. And we're always going to find when we're self-rejecting that we're not going to be happy. We're not going to be able to live a life full of joy when we're constantly rejecting ourselves. The viewpoint of that is thinking of it as like a bucket, and you're just having all these leaks out of the leaking bucket, and you're just constantly giving to everyone, but you feel drained yourself. And are they really happy that they're getting all of this from you? Deep down inside, they see that you're miserable. So even though they enjoy the things that you're giving them, but deep down inside, they're like, can you stop? I mean, maybe you should probably just rest. And so then it backfires on you because we think it's happiness. So when I learned the perspective of patch up the leaking bucket and give from overflow, I thought there's no way possible that I can be in a state of overflow into others. Boy, was I wrong. And so what I learned is when you do patch up those, such as one of them could be boundaries, one of them is those limiting beliefs. Another one is being able to work on your core healing, right? Like when you work on those, that's the patching of the leaking bucket. And then you give from overflow. And now my time, my energy, all of that is overflowing into others. So, but reputation, specifically to that one, when we care about what other people think, we have to recognize that people that are judging us, they're actually just judging themselves. And so once we come into truth with things, we allow ourselves to move forward in life without these fears holding us back anymore. Because I could have a scar on my face, I could have acne on my face, and if somebody came to me and you wanted to judge me, what does that really mean about them? Because I could also have somebody come to me and say, you're beautiful. So it's really in the eyes of the beholder. So oftentimes in the egotism world, we make it seem something about us. Well, what does it mean about them if they're judging us? They're a judgmental person. That means they're judging probably themselves. Life is a mirror. Life is a reflection. So that's the second part to your question. And then let me know if you want me to go to the third part.
Go for it.
So the third part you mentioned was fear. Fear is it is an energy sucker. What it does is it's constantly putting energy towards something that, in my opinion, if you keep focusing on, it will manifest itself because we are all manifestors. We create through our thoughts. We create through our energies. And when you recognize that the things that you focus on mostly are going to start to come true. And so it's not until we actually go towards the fear, that's what fear really stands for to me, is face everything and rise. That's what it really stands for. Because if you keep running from the fear, that fear just gets deeper, darker, bigger, stronger. But if I turn around and look at it and journal write about it, you'll actually recognize it's not that bad. Oh my gosh, you actually are still going to live. You're still going to be fine. You're still going to have food on the table. You'll still have a house over your head at some point or another. And I have my own stories of that, of homelessness or rock bottom moments in my life that I feared all these things and they all manifested themselves. But by the time you got to the end of it, you're like, well, I'm still here. Nobody took my birthday away and I'm still here. So what do I do now? You move forward. And
I
so these
love that.
fears, these fears are they're so insignificant when we start going towards them. So anyways, that's the answer to all your questions that you just laid on me.
You are so good at remembering everything I rattle off. Amazing. And one of the things that came up while you were talking was the I'll be happy when, and I thought, how do we reword that? Because it's a saying, like when someone says, how are you? We say, fine. It's just a response. But how can we change that up to make it empowering where we're not saying, I'm sad now and nothing's going to be good until this happens. So it's like, I think that outcome will what? I'm happy now. It'll be a nice to have. How do we? That's what I was trying to think of when you were saying that is, well, this is a nice to have because I'm happy.
Mhm.
So, have you ever tried to reword that when instead of saying I'll be happy when or if, I'll be happy if the birds if the pigs fly? Why wait?
Yeah, absolutely. That one is something I have absolutely had to go through myself, and I definitely turn around with my experience and be able to teach others. And so, just breaking it down, the first part about why I listen so deeply and intently is because my middle ear is turned on, meaning I've worked so much on my vagus nerve that I'm able to hear deeply. And I also jot things down because I want everyone to feel seen and heard and authentically expressed. That's the root to all human beings. And so, when we can use their names, Laura Jane, and when we can listen to exactly what they're saying and we can articulate exactly what they want, then you're going to notice that we're going to find ourselves attracting more individuals in our life. But if I'm up in my head thinking of when I'm going to be happy when, at the same time when you're asking me a question, I'm just in a mental fog. I'm in a mental marathon and I'm just only doing myself a disservice. And so there is a solution to clear our minds, to get the to-do list out of our minds and be able to come into more of a middle ear deep listening so that we can really give those that are around us the message that they really need to receive. So, but going into what your question was, is happy when. When you're saying, be happy when, is basically coming from a desire. And when we're in a place of desire, in the laws of physics, every emotion is actually measured a frequency. And a desire is, I think, around 150 frequency, which is actually a very low vibration because the highest vibration is 700 plus when you get more into happy, joy, peace, enlightenment. And so desire, the reason why it's such a low frequency is because it's coming from a place of lack and scarcity. So by saying I'll be happy when I have this thing or if I have this thing, what you're saying is I'm originally right now in this place in time full of lack and scarcity, which is a vibration of 150, which means your outcome, laws of Albert Einstein says, anything you want to attract in your life, you have to become that frequency and you will get that outcome. There's no other way. It's not philosophy, it's physics. Look it up with The Secret. Look it up with The Manifestation. Look it up at anybody that's successful that has truly been able to be in a place of sustainable success is because they have mastered this tool. And so by knowing if you're in that place of desire, it's a low frequency, you'll never be able to get your outcome. Unfortunately, that's the sad part. That's why we keep saying, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when. And it all of a sudden turns to decades, 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 decades. And we're like, what the heck? And then eventually we start having mistrust in God or mistrust in, what's the purpose, right? Kind of like what you mentioned earlier. Why am I even here? What's my gift? What's my potential? Because all I do, I feel like I'm just Groundhog Day, waking up with the same things on repeat. And so the shift that I would do to the solution, as you asked prior on the call, the solution to this is first be in a place of awareness that you're doing it. The second place is awareness of realizing it's a low frequency, it's a low vibration. So then the third one is what the solution is to be able to come into a place of happiness now. The gratitude is the number one thing you can do to actually pull yourself into a state of gratitude and happiness and a higher frequency. Because what you're doing in that place is you're saying, I am happy with the things that I have currently. Now, when you raise your frequency and do that, then what's going to happen automatically is more things are going to start becoming towards you. Energetically, people feel that and they want to be more magnetic around you. More opportunities and solutions and things like this present themselves because now you are in a state of a higher frequency.
Okay. So as long as I'm looking at what I'm grateful for and being conscious that I just said, I'll be happy when, and realize I don't need to wait till that. It may not ever happen. Why base happiness on something that may or may not come about at one time? So acknowledging I'm happy now, and it will be nice when it happens and look at all these things I already have. So I don't need to rely on something that doesn't exist to be happy.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
Yay, I learned something.
That's my girl. 1,000%. It's a bonus. So yeah, think of it as a bonus that when you get it, it's like, oh my gosh, how wonderful, how amazing. But I was already happy beforehand too. Spot on, Laura.
And then the other thing you were bringing up was the patching the bucket and giving from a point of overflow. And I thought that is such a beautiful analysis because we do have so much going on that if we let it take from us before we're filled, we never get to that filled part of our lives because it's just draining before it ever gets there. So if we can figure out how to identify those holes, what is it that's taking my energy or my joy, or what is it that I no longer feel I have control of? Because like you said, you have control over all of these. We just have to patch them. You don't have to empty now, and you can still give. And so it's figuring out how to patch them when. And yeah, it'd be nice if I could patch them all at the same time. And I'm sure a lot of people have been able to do that. I'm a one thing at a time person. Like, okay, I am going to work today on my uh, feeling the people pleaser. I keep trying to make everyone else happy and I'm forgetting about myself. I'm going to plug that hole. And so the next time I want to make someone happy, it's like, will this also make me happy? Will this also, how do I now turn it around and make sure that I'm not giving what I need to sustain my well being? So I really liked that part about the bucket, and sounds like you've completely clogged up all your holes. Do you ever have new ones show up? Like, it's like, "Oh, I needed a new hole. I need to fill it up now or
Yeah,
patch it."
I mean, I think self-development is always like a beautiful thing of, call it maintenance mode, right? Like, so for example, I kind of look at it as like, I used to be a weight loss coach. I mean, I still am, but I work with transformations. Like, how can somebody really have a transformation in their life and stop the patterns? That's what I really have excelled in most of my life. But it's in the analogy of weight loss is, let's say if we're 100 pounds overweight. Well, then to be able to lose that 100 pounds initially is going to really take a commitment. It's going to take, I really got to set my boundaries. I got to focus on eating healthy. I got to get my protein in. I need to make sure my blood sugar is balanced so that my hormones are good. You know, you do all that type of plugging up the holes. And then eventually what happens is maintenance mode, meaning it doesn't have to be so hard anymore. You get into a place with self development where you just now understand that happiness is an internal thing, that boundaries is not going to make people leave you or abandon you. That you recognize your belief systems, that you are enough, you are worthy, you are deserving, right? And so you become into what's called like a different emotional home. And that's what just naturally plugs up those holes. So right now in my life, I might have like, you know, a little hole that wants to get repaired as far as maintenance goes, but I had probably 20 holes before that was just completely depleting me. And I knew I wasn't going anywhere fast. I just knew it was my time and my energy that was getting depleted, and I wasn't making anybody happy. So I did find out that as soon as I plugged the holes and I was coming from a place of overflow, ooh, people can feel that. They can feel that you're happy. They can feel that you're energetic. They can feel that you're aligned with your purpose. And they're just like, oh, you're magnetic. Like, let me be around you. Like, let me feel more of that overflow. And so I might take a month off. I might say, hey, friends, I can't do anything this month. I'm focusing on a new course. And then they respect me. And what they do is they go, thank you for letting me know you can set boundaries. It's teaching me I can also set boundaries. So what you'll find is you can still be a people pleaser, but it becomes a ripple effect. You just kind of change the course of how you've been doing it. But I make more people happy now by setting boundaries than I did before when I was trying to find happiness in them.
And one of the other things you said was make the other person's opinion of me, like, are you pretty or, or not? And it's like, there is no way. Like, if everybody had the same opinion, then yeah, I could try and figure out how to do that. But everybody's opinion's different. Someone's going to think you're too much. Someone's going to think you're not enough. And those people don't matter. They matter, but their opinions don't matter. And what matters is how you think you are. And if you feel good about the way you show up, that's your joy. That's your happiness. And if someone else thinks you're too much, oh, wow, they can go somewhere else. If someone thinks you're not enough, oh, wow. And I think that's the point of some of the things you were talking about was really that self-satisfaction, that am I really accepting myself for the natural me, not the one that was programmed as I was growing up, not the one programmed in school and or in the workplace itself, you get feedback from one boss and another boss wants you back the other way. And so it's just, where is that satisfaction? When do we accept ourselves instead of that measuring stick that comes from everywhere else?
Mhm.
And it's finding what matters to me. How do I find that next time someone says, you're ugly? Like, I know people are more nicer than that, but they'll say something that you took as I'm not pleasing enough to the other person. Or, it's the little one, you look tired today. And you're like, I'm not. Like I must really look awful. And so it's, what is that self acceptance thought process when these things that other people's opinions come at us?
Yeah. Um, Absolutely. I think the best way to think about it is other people's opinions of you can actually be their own opinions about themselves. So when you look at life as a reflection, if somebody is judging you on your looks, I would say 100%, it's very possible that when they look in their own mirror at home, they judge themselves on their own looks.
I was going to say that's the thing is I do that is like, oh my, their blues don't quite match. And it's like, how many times have I gone out the door when my blues didn't quite match? And it's like, because sometimes you don't see the things in yourself, but you know that it's important to you. One of the things that I was thinking is when someone says, oh, John's so selfish, or Jennifer just is so selfish. What do you want from them that you're not getting? You are the one that's being selfish. You are the one that wants something. If there was nothing you wanted from them, you would never think that. And so it's how when you say these things, you go, oh, selfish. I'm thinking they're selfish. What is it that I'm not getting? You know, how do you switch that around to self-analyzation and reflection?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Like it's about broadening your perspective is the secret to all of this. That's the big solution is that when we get out of the narrow way of looking at things and instead we open up our mind and the quickest way we can do this is the question that we're asking ourselves because we're always asking questions inside of our mind. And there's only going to be a contracting question or an expanding question. So for example, it's a retraining of your mind, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do with rewiring your own mind. So, for example, the old me would be like, why did they judge me? What's about me? Why me all the time? Um, why do my blues not match today? Why can't I have more energy? Why did they think I look tired? Like, why can't, right? So, if you think about all those questions I just said, if you think about it, your brain is like a dog. It's just going to go chase the ball. So if you give it a contracting question, you're going to get a contracting answer. So if I say, why me? Then the brain's going to be like, well, because you're broken. There's something wrong with you. Like you're not normal, like, whatever. And so then what that does is it's just going to spiral you further down into a contracting illusion of your life. And so the quickest thing that we can do in that moment is reframe the question into an expanding question instead. So I could say things like, what is it about them that made them say that? Or how could I see this in a different perspective? Or what is the sign that I need to know with this? Or what's my next step forward? And you can see that the brain goes to work and it's going to go chase the ball that you gave it. And it's an expanding way of retraining our mind. And so if somebody were to say to me, hey, Danita, you're selfish, well, without absorbing that in, I would observe it instead and say, you think I'm selfish. Thank you for letting me know your observation, which means I'm not going to internalize it. Okay. I just thank you for letting me know your observation. Please do tell me how and why. So now we're in a place of inquiry. But the other choice that I could have done is, oh man, I could have deflected. I could have tried to defend myself. I'm not selfish. I'm not, no, 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 right? That means I've already absorbed it if I'm trying to defend myself.
Okay. I hadn't really thought about it as have already absorbing it or already like I took it as fact and now I'm I want to tell you I'm not. Where I like the more inquisitive way that you put it is share with me more, you know? It's like, how is it coming across that way? And I don't think you'll ever get it to totally switch that they feel that it's them. But at the same time, I think you can balance that out. Um,
Well, yeah, usually it's a miscommunication. Their selfish in their language might be that you didn't go, you set a boundary, right? Like they could be like, you're selfish. And I'm over here thinking, like, I set a boundary, right? So it's a miscommunication world that we all live in. And if we're not in a place of inquiry with each other, then we're over here just shooting bullets in the wrong direction this entire time. We've all been in relationships. We know what miscommunication does. So by staying in a place of inquiry and going, well, what do you mean by I'm selfish? Well, because you didn't join my birthday party. Well, yeah, because I have set a boundary that I told you I would be completely gone for March and I'm going to be working on my course. But thank you for letting me know that your birthday is highly important to you and that you need me as your friend. And so I can join your birthday and do something special for you in April. Can we set a date for that? Right? Like it's solution oriented. You just kind of like you really learn to start controlling the topics instead of absorbing the topics. It's awesome.
it's when I get to choose how I feel about it. You don't get to choose how I feel. I get to. You can say whatever you want. I then get to choose how I respond or how I internalize it. And so it goes right back to that self acceptance and really getting that inner balance that we talked about of, you know, things are always coming at us, but it's that internal strength to know who you are and not to let it rock the boat. You're, they can come at you full force and you're going to keep on standing when you get to that point. It's like, how do we say, I'm okay just the way I am? And if your bucket's leaky, it's okay. You have an opportunity to patch it if you choose. It's coming to that I'm okay standpoint that's so critical.
Hmm. Absolutely. 1,000% agree with you. And it does become easier because we don't have to keep fighting against it. The easiest thing that I've been able to see is, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the call, when we understand what those beliefs are on that 1 to 10 scale, if any of them are below tens, then what we're doing is we might find ourselves more absorbers than we are observers. And so the quickest thing that I help individuals do is get rid of those limiting beliefs. Like literally go back to the past and ask yourself, is that my truth or is that I absorbed somebody else's toxicity? And give it back. It's not yours to carry, right? And once you have that like aha moment, gosh, it's the boundaries naturally happen. Everything, like everything just you that's the true balance I have found is that you're no longer fighting against these boundaries, but they just happen so naturally because you know you are enough, you are worthy, you are deserving, and you just go, yeah, I'm setting that boundary. And it just comes that quick. And then people go, wow, she's so confident in her boundary. I'm not gonna beef her on it. And you could try beefing me on it, but it's not gonna happen because I know my worth. I know my truth. How have I always had that? Oh, hell no. I came from like ones and twos on my limiting beliefs. So that's why I've learned to master them. Now I'm tens out across the board. And so it's the work I've done internally that have now made my life so easy with like those patches. So the root of it is get to truth. Get to truth of really who you are. Is it your fault? Are you the one to blame? Are you really not good enough? Or was that just maybe some generational trauma that you've absorbed? Ah.
Mm, probably. And
Mm.
there's so much that we do out of learned behavior. This, like we said earlier, when you ask me how I am, I say fine, yes. It's just this auto response where we're really not engaging. And it's what does really matter, you know? Yeah. if you just change it up, thank you for asking. I'm doing great. Or, one coach that I worked with years and years ago would say, don't ask people how their day is. Say, isn't it a beautiful day outside? Where you're getting off of that autopilot that we run into, and isn't it a beautiful day? And then they have to stop and think, is it a beautiful day? Instead of just fine. And so it's like, how could you switch it up where you can ask the question uniquely so you don't get the Autobot response?
Yeah, you just said it perfectly by reframing it into a different perspective, right? I feel like in human beings, we live in that box and we're just saying the things on repeat. And what is repeat? That's we're living in the past because it's safe, it's comfortable, it's predictable, it's familiar. And so by us allowing ourselves to step more into the present with an excitement for our future is where we can start changing our perspectives. But it takes one's mind to shift from a survival mode, reptile brain, primal brain, I've got to just keep protecting myself version of us versus, no, I'm worthy to grow. No, I'm going to change my perspective today. I'm going to shift my way of talking to this person today. I'm going to give them a different way of thinking and being and seeing and show them that you're not done yet. I don't care how old you are. You're not done yet. You're not.
It's not the end yet.
No, it's not. And when you lean towards truth, I mean, you're just going to naturally find people are going to gravitate towards truth because they can't deny it. You're not done yet. Can you deny that? No. Okay, move on. All right, next. Like becoming a truth seeker is one of the most fabulous things a human being can do because it will absolutely transform their life the quickest.
Well, and when we deal with hard things, we get stronger. If we had no hard things coming at us, you wouldn't get the ability to respond differently or with more strength next time. And it's like, if every time I went to the gym, I lifted 10 pounds, I would be stagnant in my growth and my strength. But as I increase the weights and increase the things that I'm doing or the reputations or the number of sets or whatever it is, or however you're exercising, it's when we increase where we gain strength. And so when crap hits the fan and we're like, oh no, I can't do all this. And it's like, it's going to hit the fan. But we get to choose to say, I can deal with this. I have done hard things before. I can do it again. And it's like, oh, this feels harder than anything else. Guess what? It's that next level of pounds you're adding to the barbell. It's that next level of strength we're gaining. And if we can look at life as the gain instead of the loss, we change our perspective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if we were to summarize all this up and say, in that moment of self-rejection, taking a stance and getting back our power so that we have that inner balance. I know I was just like, how? But there's so many hows. What is that first thing? Is it the analyzation of writing the things down? Is that the first thing we need to do?
Um, One of them could be taking your contracting questions you're saying in your mind, reframing them to an expanding question. That could be a how. One of them is, to your point, you were saying that struggle is a portal to success. And so by looking at a broader perspective of our life, that we know that this hard struggle that we're going through is actually just the next level up that we're going to be making. And to prove that is anytime I ask somebody what their greatest accomplishment in their life is, I always ask them, did it come easy? And they say, nope. So that proves it right there that in order to know a really good day, it's because we know the opposite of a really tough, bad day. And so life is full of polarities. And so by a broader perspective will give us more control and allow us to take our power back. So I'd say either one of those is probably where I would start of the how.
I like it.
Mm.
It's been a great conversation. Give you an opportunity to share about you, what you do, how people can get a hold of you, and what is that one thing?
Yeah. I did not come from easy times, not a silver spoon at all. I came from very poor. I'm a foster care child. I lived with my grandma after foster care. Um, I have been homeless through my entrepreneur journey for about 8 months, and I've lost absolutely everything in my life. And that is where I truly believe I found myself. And so I am appreciative for all of my hard times in my life. I am so in a place of gratitude to see the big picture of what life really is. And my biggest mission and journey is to be able to bring individuals back to their empowerment and their truth.
I love it because I think believing our truth is so important. You know it. We all have it. We're all amazing. We've hidden it. And we think all these other things people are talking about or saying about us is the truth. It's like, no, you know who you are. And we are perfect. It's like if everybody wanted to be a lawyer, it would be so boring. Or if there was only one path to get there, we'd all go to doctorate school and some of us would be butchers. It's not just one path, it's lots of paths. It's not just one journey. We all have our own unique. And this world is so ingrained in expecting everybody to be the same. But at the same time, we wouldn't be able to handle it. We'd all have everybody would be doing podcasts and nothing else. So it's like we have our own path, we have our own journey, and falling in love with the truth of you is so important. And feeling comfortable and not worrying about, I got to find my purpose. I got to find my purpose. Just let who you are today be the purpose for today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, friend, for joining us today. Danita and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We are here for entertainment. People that have struggled, found a path, and want to reach out and give you a hand if you would like to be lifted up in your journey. Let's make your path smoother. Thank you for joining and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.